The lecture hall went silent. Not the comfortable kind of silence where everyone's paying attention. No, this was the suffocating type, the kind that makes your breathing sound like a starship engine. Professor Veldar stopped mid-sentence, his 6 eyes widening in genuine terror. The holographic display of the Battle of Proxima Ridge flickered and died. Every student in Advanced Military Strategy 401 sat frozen, their various appendages, tentacles, and limbs locked in place, because General Kraid had just walked through the door. Now, let me paint you a picture. General Kraid wasn't just any general. He was the general. The walking legend who'd crushed the Scriven Rebellion, who'd held the line at Terminus Gate for 48 hours with nothing but 3 damaged cruisers and what witnesses could only describe as pure spite. He had more medals than most species had appendages, and a reputation that made seasoned warriors check under their sleeping pods at night, and he was standing in our classroom. "Continue," he said, his voice like gravel being processed through a fusion reactor. "Don't let me interrupt." Professor Veldar made a sound somewhere between a cough and a death rattle. "General, sir, we were just, reviewing your tactical decisions during the Proxima Ridge engagement." "Were you now?" Kraid's mandibles clicked together in what might have been amusement. Might have been. Or it could have been the sound he made before he vaporized someone. Hard to tell. And what conclusions have these brilliant young minds reached? Nobody spoke. You could have heard a pin drop in a vacuum. Anyone? Kraid's gaze swept across the room like a targeting laser. No opinions? How disappointing. The report I received suggested this class had quite a lot to say about my tactics. Oh no. 3 seats to my left, I saw Mirakel, a Boltheri with usually vibrant purple skin, turn a sickly shade of gray. Behind me, I heard Tokven's breathing apparatus wheeze in panic. Even Jax, the overconfident Kryn who never shut up during normal lectures, had apparently discovered the value of silence. Let me be more specific, Kraid continued, pulling a datapad from his uniform with deliberate slowness. Someone in this room submitted an analysis to the Military Academy Review Board. An analysis that pointed out 18 separate tactical errors in my handling of Proxima Ridge. The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. Or maybe that was just my blood freezing. This analysis, Kraid went on, his tone somehow getting colder, was forwarded to me by the Academy Commandant. With a note. A note that said, and I quote, "Thought you might find this interesting." The Commandant has a wonderful sense of humor, by the way. I'm thinking of having him reassigned to a waste processing station on the edge of the void. A nervous laugh escaped from somewhere in the back row. Kraid's head snapped toward the sound with predatory precision. The laughter died instantly. "Now, normally," the general said, resuming his slow pace across the front of the room, "when someone questions my tactical decisions, I have them doing weapons drills until they can't remember their own designation. But this analysis, I have to admit, was thorough. Detailed. Almost, and I use this word carefully, correct. Wait. What? The author clearly has tactical training, pattern recognition capabilities, and either massive courage or absolutely no survival instinct. Possibly both." He stopped walking, standing directly in front of Professor Veldar's desk. "So I'm going to ask one more time. Where is the student who wrote this?" Silence. Complete, absolute, terrifying silence. My 3 hearts were hammering in my chest. All 3 of them. Independently. It was a medical marvel, really. If I survived this, I should probably see a physician, because, you see, I had a tiny, insignificant problem that I wrote that analysis. In my defense, I hadn't meant for it to go anywhere. It was supposed to be a private exercise, a thought experiment. But my stupid, helpful roommate, Kevrin, had thought it was brilliant. Thought it deserved recognition. Thought it should be submitted to the Academy Review Board for extra credit that I was going to kill Kevrin. If I survived the next 5 minutes. Nobody. Kraid's voice had taken on an edge that could cut through hull plating. Nobody wants to claim credit for calling me, and again I quote, tactically rigid, strategically predictable, and dangerously overconfident in conventional warfare doctrine? Several students slowly turned to look in my direction. Not obviously. Just subtle eye movements, antenna twitches, minor head rotations, traitors. Every last one of them. Interesting, Kraid mused, following their gazes like a hunter tracking wounded prey. His eyes, all four of them, locked directly onto me. I was dead. Completely, utterly dead. You, he said, pointing one clawed finger straight at my face. Stand up. My legs didn't want to work. They absolutely, fundamentally refused to cooperate with basic motor functions. But somehow, through sheer terror or maybe just muscle memory from years of military discipline drills, I stood. Name, Kraid demanded. Cadet Vix'en, sir. My voice cracked on the last word. Wonderful. Nothing says military professionalism like sounding like a juvenile during molting season. Vix'en. He said it slowly, like he was tasting each syllable. You wrote this? Lying would be worse. If there's one thing they taught us in basic ethics, it's that lying to a superior officer is the express route to a court-martial. Yes, sir. I did, sir. The room somehow got even quieter. I didn't think that was physically possible, but apparently we'd found new depths of silence. Someone in the back row might have stopped breathing entirely. Kraid walked toward me, each footfall echoing like weapons fire. He stopped exactly 1 meter away, close enough that I could see the old combat scars on his carapace, the worn edges of his medals, the absolute absence of anything resembling mercy in his expression. Then he smiled. At least, I think it was a smile. It looked like a smile. On him, it could have also been a threat display. Really hard to tell the difference. Do you stand by your analysis, Cadet? This was it. This was the moment that would define whether I had a military career or a future shoveling reactor waste on some forgotten outpost. Sir, the analysis was based purely on available data and tactical theory. I meant no disrespect to your service or your record. That's not what I asked. His voice was softer now, which was somehow more terrifying than when he was loud. Do you stand by it? I swallowed hard. All three of my throats clicked audibly. Yes, sir. I do. The smile widened. Good. Because you were right. The entire room gasped. Actual, audible gasps from 40 different species with 40 different respiratory systems. Proxima Ridge was a disaster, Kraid continued, his voice now carrying to every corner of the lecture hall. We won, yes. We held the line. But we lost 30% more personnel than we should have. 3 ships that could have been saved. Hundreds of soldiers who deserved to go home. He turned away from me, addressing the whole class now. I was arrogant. I relied on old patterns because they'd worked before. I assumed the enemy would behave predictably because they always had. And people died because of my assumptions. Professor Velvar looked like he might faint. This was definitely not standard military protocol. Cadet Vix'en's analysis pointed out every mistake I made. Every miscalculation. Every moment where I chose ego over effectiveness. Kraid pulled up the holographic display again, but this time it showed different data. So I ran the battle again. Simulations. Hundreds of them. Using the tactical modifications suggested in this analysis. The hologram shifted, showing casualty projections, fleet movements, resource allocations. Average casualty reduction, 28%. Average engagement time reduction, 40%. Resource efficiency increase, 35%. He let those numbers hang in the air. This cadet, from a classroom, with nothing but tactical theory and historical data, outperformed my real-time battlefield decisions. Oh. Oh, this wasn't what I expected at all. Which brings me to why I'm here. Kraid turned back to face me directly. The 7th Fleet needs tactical analysts. Real ones, not the yes men who tell me what I want to hear. People who can look at a situation and tell me when I'm wrong. People with the spine to stand by their convictions even when it's uncomfortable. He extended one clawed hand toward me. How would you like a position on my personal strategic staff, Cadet? My brain short-circuited. Completely. All cognitive functions just stopped. What, sir, I'm just a student, I haven't even graduated, you have tactical instincts that most officers don't develop in 20 years of service, Kraid interrupted. You can finish your degree. But I want you training with my staff, learning real combat coordination, not just theory. This is, I'm honored, sir, but not a request, Cadet. That's an order. But there was something in his expression now, something that looked almost like respect. We need more soldiers who think like you. Who question, who analyze, who don't just follow doctrine because it's what we've always done. He addressed the whole room again. That goes for all of you. The military doesn't need blind followers. We need critical thinkers. We need people who'll tell us when we're wrong, especially when it's difficult. He paused, his gaze sweeping across every student. Because the next time we face an enemy, they won't be predictable. They won't follow our expectations. And if we can't adapt, we'll lose. Kraid moved toward the door, then stopped, looking back at me one final time. Report to Fleet Command at 0600 tomorrow, Cadet Vix'en. Bring your analysis. Bring your questions. And bring that spine you showed today. You're going to need it. Then he was gone, leaving behind a classroom full of students who looked like they just witnessed something impossible. Professor Veldar collapsed into his chair. Class dismissed. I need a drink. Possibly several. As everyone filed out in shocked silence, Mirakel grabbed my arm. You just got recruited by General Kraid. By being right about him being wrong. That's the most human thing I've ever seen happen. I laughed, slightly hysterically. Human? What does that even mean? She grinned, her color finally returning to normal purple. It means somehow, impossibly, you turned almost dying into the opportunity of a lifetime. That's either brilliant or insane. Probably both, I admitted, and honestly, I couldn't wait to find out which.